On January 1st of this year, because it's a big year for Notre Dame Cathedral. As you can see, we are celebrating 850 years, 850th anniversary of Notre Dame. Careful, stop there. Just run them down. That's the way you do it. So we're celebrating 850 years of Notre Dame Cathedral. Now, if you go back 850 years, you get all the way back to 1163. It's a long time ago. And that's the year that they laid the first stone to build Notre Dame. They didn't lay the last stone, so they didn't finish the building, however, until 1341. If you do the math on that, it took them almost 2 centuries to build just one building. Just imagine that. Generation after generation after generation of people working away to build just one building. And the reason it took them so long is because when they began building it, there was practically nobody living in the city of Paris at all. You had under 20,000 people here. So it was practically not even on the map. By the time they finally finished Notre Dame, however, the city was one of the biggest cities in Western Europe. About 200,000 people all living huddled together. So just think about that. 20,000, 200,000 in under 2 centuries. Now a couple of cool things to note on Notre Dame Cathedral. You see this row of statues up there. This row of statues. They were built in the 1200s, and they represent kings of Jerusalem. But during the French Revolution, a time we're going to talk way more about later on in the tour, a couple of revolutionaries, they kind of missed that memo, and they thought that they represented kings of France. And of course, during the French Revolution, they really didn't like those kings of France. That's kind of what the whole revolution was about. And so these 2 revolutionaries, at midnight one night, they thought they were being all cheeky and good for the revolution. They climbed up the building with axes and symbolically chopped the heads off of every single statue going around Notre Dame Cathedral. The revolutionaries also threw stones at the beautiful stained glass windows up there, destroyed them, and on 5 separate occasions they tried to burn down the building. Now, they were not rocket scientists, because the building is made of stone. It's not going to. You can try to burn it down however much you want, but not going to burn very well. It did have burn marks over it. So right after the French Revolution, you've got a building that's in complete disrepair. Heads missing from statues, broken windows, burn marks everywhere. The roof had been set on fire. And a lot of people around the city are like, you know what? Notre Dame has had its day. Maybe it's time to tear it down and build something new and modern and splashy in its place. Now nowadays, when you think of this, we're like, tear down Notre Dame Cathedral, excuse me? That's like the building that makes Paris, Paris, after the Eiffel Tower. And they didn't even have the Eiffel Tower at the time, so my God. But if you can believe it, people were actually really sold on the idea. People were convinced, yes, this is the time to tear down the building. So that by 1830, the plan was to bring out the demolition balls and knock it to the ground. Now, lucky for us, however, a young writer by the name of Victor Hugo stepped up to the plate to write a very famous book about this building. Anybody know the name? The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Yes. Actually, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. That was Disney's inaccurate translation of the title of the book. The original title of Notre Dame, of Victor Hugo's novel, was just Notre Dame of Paris. In other words, the main character of the book was not only supposed to be that, downtrodden hunchback Quasimodo guy. The main character was actually supposed to be the cathedral itself. And the whole point of Victor Hugo's novel was to bring light to the importance of Notre Dame in the history of France. And it was such a successful book at the time that it began this whole restoration movement. The heads are restored on top of the statues, they clean up the burn marks, they restore the stained glass windows, they rebuild the roof, and the building is back in working order. So we have Victor Hugo to thank that Notre Dame Cathedral is survived for us all to enjoy to this day. You can see this pretty intimidating line right there. Don't worry about this line. When you come back to the building later on, first of all, I will mention it's completely free to go inside Notre Dame Cathedral, so you should definitely do it. The line moves really fast. Give yourself 20 to 30 minutes, and you've seen the whole thing. You've circulated inside. A lot of people ask me to go up to the roofs. You can go up to the roof and say hi to the gargoyles that you saw in the Disney film. That costs €8, and you have to get in a line that's on that side of the building. but it is a pretty spectacular view. We're already above pretty much all of the major buildings in this downtown area of Paris, so highly recommended for later on. But for right now, we're going to start charging that way toward World War II and the liberation of Paris.